product lines, 2 in Italy for our string inverters. So all our string inverters are manufactured in Italy. And we also have another production site in India for our central inverters. So with a current installed base of over 43 gigawatts installed out there, we're currently the 4th highest inverter manufacturer in the world. Here in FIMER Australia, there's about 25 employees across the country, covering sales, marketing, service, support and logistics. There's a team in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. Our Sydney team, that's where our customer service centre is, our state-of-the-art repair centre, and where our stock is held in our warehouse, as well as our technical support team. So one thing to be aware of our technical support team, they're very knowledgeable. They're a great support for all our installers as well as our end users. So not only do we welcome calls from installers, but we also welcome calls to our end users. So we understand that time is precious for installers. So feel free, if your customers have any issues, they are free to contact the technical support line as well. And here in Australia, FIMER is 100% committed to the solar market. It's what we do, it's what we're all trained and capable of doing, so we're here to support you. One thing before I get into it, because of all the talk and hype in South Australia at the moment, FIMER inverters have passed the AEMO's low voltage ride-through test. So we're not, as you've seen released only yesterday, we're currently not on the list. We have a declaration to say that we've passed all the tests. We're just waiting on the test reports to be received, which should be this week, and we'll be ready to go to meet the deadline of the 28th of September in South Australia. So let's jump into the product overview. So these are the 2 products that I'll be focusing on more today, the residential applications. The Uno DM Plus Q, a single phase grid connected inverter ranging from 2 kilowatts to 6 kilowatts. And our React 2, the 3.6 and 5 kilowatt inverter with built-in modular battery storage with 4 kilowatt hour modules, expandable up to 12 kilowatt hours. In the C&I space, we have the PVS 50 and the PVS 60, and the PVS 100 and the PVS 120. So the PVS 50, there's a few different ranges here. The top model is a 3 MPPT model. We also have a single tracker version as well. You'll see the 400 and 480 volt differences there. So the PVS 50 and the PVS 100 has a nominal AC voltage of 400 volts. So that can be connected to standard LV. The PVS 60 and the PVS 120 has a nominal AC voltage of 480 volts. So this is used more in project situations where it's connected to a step-up transformer and connected directly to MV like 11 and 22 kV. With the PVS 100, we're also very soon bringing out a single tracker version to complement our 6 MPPT version. And later on in the year, we'll be bringing out new 3-phase range between 10 and 33 kilowatts. So something to look forward to there. In the utility space, we have the PVS 175, our largest string inverter with 12 MPPTs and 1500 volt DC input solution. And we also offer the PVS 980, which is a central inverter up to 2.3 MVA. And full turnkey utility applications. So we've got the PVS 800 MWS up to 5 megawatts, as well as the MVS skid. You can connect central inverters and string inverters to this, the PVS 175 or the PVS 120. No worries at all. So we offer a skid solution with all the MV switchgear, protection, transformer, and even offer a LV cubicle for string inverters to connect directly to it. So we can offer a full containerized solution for any size utility project. So let's jump into the Uno DM Plus Q. So some of the technical specifications on the Uno DM Plus Q ranges from 2 to 6 kilowatts there. The 2 and the 3 kilowatt versions are a single tracker. The 3.3 up to 6 kilowatts is a double tracker. Very easy to install. MC4 connections on the DC side, a quality AC plug on the AC side. It does have a DC switch, which is compliant to AS5033 as well, built in. So that means there's no need to install an external DC switch adjacent to the inverter. Wi-Fi or wireless communication built in as standard. It has a great advanced web interface that you can connect to for commissioning and further monitoring or fault diagnosis and all that sort of stuff, which I'll cover in this webinar. And a full 10-year warranty, which is important today. So it's not a 5+5 warranty, where in the latter 5 years, it's just a parts only warranty. FIMER offer a full 10-year replacement warranty, which covers logistics, the inverter, and even reimburse labour replacement costs. So some of the customer values. Very easy to install, which I'll show you very soon. It has all the smart inverter capabilities that you would expect from a modern day smart inverter. It's future-proof with the help of the web interface server. You can connect to this thing, you can do firmware upgrades. The installer has full access to the grid settings, so if there's any changes for grid support settings, they're easy to change and easy to get to, and has all the advanced communication that you'll possibly need, which I'll discuss very soon. So some of the connectivity for the UNO DM+Q is the built-in 2 Wi-Fi channels. So the first Wi-Fi channel is to connect via your phone, tablet or PC, locally to connect for commissioning or on-site monitoring where there's no Wi-Fi access. But there's also a second channel which can connect to the customer's modem. From then on, they can monitor the system through the cloud to our monitoring portals such as Aurora Vision and the Energy Viewer app. So the beauty of the 2 Wi-Fi channels is when you're commissioning or you need to do some service work or the customer wants to connect up locally, you're not interrupting the second channel to the internet. Some of the technical features for the UNO DM+Q is a wide working range. You'll see a very wide working range, 90 to 580 volts DC. This is due to the double stage topology, which I won't get into too much here, but it broadens the working range of the DC side, ideal for shady or cloudy conditions. And one of the benefits of double stage topologies is there's no correlation between grid voltage and the DC working range. So in single stage topology inverters, when the grid voltage rises up, the minimum DC working range also rises up with it. So double stage topology eliminates that and gives you a true indication from the data sheet on what's achievable when it comes to the DC inputs. Integrated web server, which I'll show a little bit more about very soon. Easy to connect, easy to work with. It shows some real-time functions, both on the AC and the DC side and production. Embedded wireless built-in. Modbus Sunspec for Modbus RTU and Modbus TCP. There's a couple of optional COM kits that are needed when connecting like an energy meter through RS485, as well as running connection to the internet via Ethernet if there's no Wi-Fi available on site, but I'll show you that very soon. And it's very lightweight and reliable in size. So only 15 kilograms. Over the evolution from the old Aurora Power 1 days through ABB, this is a result of a lot of knowledge learnt, past experience. No fans, very low noise, less points of failure, very reliable inverter. Connection to the UNO DM+Q as well as all FIMER inverters is very, very simple. So on the side of the inverter, there's a label with a QR code, which is easily scanned with a QR reader on a tablet, phone, or a PC to connect to the inverter so you can start commissioning straight away. Once connected, some great tools here. You have full access to parameters. So there's a couple of different levels. The installer have administrative rights, so they can connect and change all the parameters. The customer can connect to the inverter as well with less privileges, so more of a site owner, more of a read-only. As an installer with administrative rights, you have access to all the grid codes, grid parameters. You can do firmware upgrades remotely as well as locally as well. Connection through Ethernet, RS485 for an energy meter. The Uno DM Plus Q will require an optional COM kit. So the COM kit is easily connected inside the inverter. There's two types. There's a standard COM kit, which comes with all the functions that's shown on the left here, apart from the Ethernet port. The second option is the Uno COM kit Ethernet port. So if there's no Wi-Fi on site and you need to connect via Ethernet back to the customer's router, you need the Ethernet COM kit. Otherwise, the standard COM kit will work fine. So what's common in both is the RS485 port connection. So this is ideal for connection of an energy meter, has all the Modbus unspec protocols, so you can connect to third-party devices like building management systems, SCADA systems, any sort of third-party data loggers, stuff like that. Has a built-in load management relay, so you can control loads depending on production of the inverter, as well as an alarm relay, as well as the DRMO functions for remote on and off. So it does have the functionality of the dynamic feeding control. So if you have any requirements from the DNSP for zero export, export limitation, or if the focus of the installation is for self-consumption, you would need the COM kit, as you can see in the little drawing here. You connect that inside the inverter, RS485 to the energy meter, and you have all the functionality for dynamic feeding control. Same with any output power control, so the load management relays. So you will need the COM kit again to connect RS485 or any cabling to any device to switch in any sort of loads like EV chargers or pool pumps or spas or something like that. So this gives you the capability to increase self-consumption before exporting to the grid, and you can dynamically switch these loads in and off when you choose to. So this is a screenshot of the embedded integrated web server. So this is a first channel Wi-Fi where you can connect directly to the inverter for commissioning and ongoing monitoring and diagnostic or service sort of work. So it's pretty handy. It looks pretty good. It gives you real-time values on the DC and the output side, production historically and over the day. Any events pops up straight away so you can see what's happening with the inverter. Has some handy pages like derating. So if the customer mentions that the inverter is not performing as well as it should do and there's no alarms, you can easily go in here, see if there's any derating factors like temperature, high grid voltage. Also, there's a menu on the left for alarms, so you can download any alarm event lists. You have access to all the parameters for group support functions, network functions, so you can change the customer's password, or if they upgrade to the NBN, you have easy access to do that sort of work as well. So a very handy, powerful tool. So I'll just go over the steps of commissioning the Uno DM Plus Q. It's super simple. It only takes a few minutes to commission one. As I mentioned before, there's a QR code on the side of the inverter that you can scan and connect to the inverter. It will ask for a password. The password is a product key labeled on the side of the inverter. So you just punch in this product key with the hyphens as seen on the label and connect to the inverter. And you'll get the first thing you'll see is a page pop up, administrator account, user account. So the administrator account is where the installer connects to it. They just put in a lot of guys just use their email address and a password. The user account is for the customer, might be Smith residence or something like that. This is for read-only sort of privileges. Next step you'll see is connecting the inverter back to the customer's wireless network. So it's quite simple. DHCP is standard, but you can put in static IP addresses in here, no worries at all. It's got a drop box for all of the available Wi-Fi networks. Just choose the customer's network, put in the password and connect. Next is just setting time and date. This is just usually pulled off the phone or the tablet or the PC. Setting the country code. In Australia, it's AS4777. The input mode, you can independently have set it to independent if you're having two independent MPPTs, or if you choose to parallel the inverter, you can select parallel also after you install the paralleling links inside the inverter as well. Connecting a meter is super simple, just a drop box. The standard energy meter that we supply is the B21 meter or the B23 meter, depending on the size of the consumer mains. They'll be available in the drop box, and just connect to that and you're away. That's how simple it is. One of the screenshots inside the Energy Viewer app, and I'll discuss this in the later topic too on our monitoring portals, is the dashboard for the UNO DM. So it's very simple. It's got a couple of little icons there. You can tap on each icon. The sun represents the array of the system. The little power line there represents the grid, so it's pulling data from the energy meter. And the home, you connect on that and you can overlay both the array and the grid. So you can see what's happening during the day, both on the array and import-export data, and historically over time as well. If you have an energy meter connected, you also see self-consumption and self-sufficiency data. And if there's a fault condition, you can easily connect up and see the red ring. One thing mentioning with the UNO DM on the 12th of October coming up very soon, and One Stop Warehouse will be certainly a partner with this. Very exciting. We have a promotion on the UNO DM Plus Q 5 kilowatt. So if you purchase a 5 kilowatt, the box will come with a sticker. You can win instantly up to 200 prizes. Everything from an iPad for a 4K drone. There's some fantastic prizes right down to gift cards. $20,000 up for grabs, 200 prizes. Get on board. This is a great promotion with some great prizes to be had. So I'll move on to the React 2. So before I dive into the React 2, which is the 3.6 and the 5 kilowatt inverter with built-in modular batteries offered by FIMER, I'll just cover some of the topologies of the battery system. So you can either have the system DC coupled, where the battery is connected on the DC side of the inverter, PV coupled, where the DC batteries are connected on the pretty much connected with the array, and AC coupled batteries. So this is ideal for retrofit sort of situations where you have an existing system and you can connect the batteries for battery storage on the AC side. So the React 2 can offer the DC coupled and the AC coupled solution for you. One thing about the React 2 batteries, they're a 200 volt high voltage battery. They're a Samsung lithium ion NMC battery, so a great performer for energy, power and safety. One thing I want to cover here is a little word on efficiency. So you might hear a bit of talk about high voltage batteries are more efficient than low voltage batteries, like 48 volt batteries. And this is one of the reasons why. So here are a couple of circuit diagrams of battery chargers for batteries connected to solar systems. The one on the left is a high voltage battery, which you would find in the React 2 with a 200 volt battery. And the other side is the low voltage battery, which you'd find in chargers around the 48 volt mark. So as you can see, you don't really have to know what's going on in these circuit diagrams, but you can certainly see the simplicity on the high voltage side. So less points of failure, a lower cost, and very efficient. So across each component, there's a slight volt drop, which adds up, adds up losses and affects the efficiency. On the low voltage side, you can see a very nested array of components where there's a volt drop across each one of those components, which reduces the efficiency. So just a small insight into the difference between high voltage batteries and low voltage batteries efficiency. So the React 2, that's what it looks like. So this is extremely easy to install. I can't think of any other battery inverter system easier to install than the React 2. The module on the right-hand side of the picture is the inverter, and the module on the left is one battery module, expandable up to 3 battery modules. Very high energy reliance, very efficient with the high voltage batteries, very flexible in its design and its capabilities, very versatile, and all the built-in functions for communication. Unlike the Uno DM, where you have to get the optional comms card to connect energy meters or hardwire back to the customer's router, everything is built into the React 2. Very easy to install, up to 90% self-reliance, high voltage batteries, modular. So each module is, battery module is 4 kilowatt hours, expandable up to 12. Both AC and DC side or DC coupled, and either wireless or Ethernet connectivity back to the home, and also compatible with the ABB free at home home automation system. So it can be really integrated to a home automation system as well. Some of the key features. So I put this in here because batteries can be extremely heavy. You can see the battery unit with a weight of the module at 53 kilos. So there's no need to lift any more than 53 kilos when it comes to this battery solution. On the right-hand side, each battery module has its own DC to DC battery charger. So this is ideal. This makes it easy to either add batteries at any time, as well as future-proofs the batteries. So FIMER can upgrade the batteries as technology increases, and because the charger talks back to the inverter, it means that we can future-proof the React 2 and add on batteries in the future as technology improves. Some of the inverter information there. It comes in a 3.6 and a 5 kilowatt IP65, so it can be installed outside. The schematic diagram in the middle, the booster DC to DC module there, that is your double stage topologies, so you have a very wide working range of the inverter. Before I go into the battery side, you can install a React 2 inverter, and during the day, when there's capacity on the array and the event of a grid loss, it does give you backup without batteries. So there is a 3 kilowatt backup circuit on the React 2 inverter module. So if you lose the grid during the day and there's capacity on the array without batteries, you'll get an emergency backup supply. Some of the connections underneath the inverter, obviously the number 3 in the middle is your DC input with 2 channels. Your DC switch is compliant to AS5033, and the battery connections, which makes this one of the easiest battery solutions to install. The battery module comes with 2 cables. It's just plug and play. And as well as on the other side, you have the AC, the backup port to connect any essential power, as well as any metering. Even the connection of an energy meter is through a plug as well. The battery. So the battery comes in 4 kilowatt hours, 200 volt Samsung cylindrical batteries, very powerful, very reliable. It comes with an IP rating of IP54, so it can be installed outside as well. And these are connections underneath the battery module. So to connect back to the inverter, it's simply just connecting the comms cable, which comes with the inverter, comes with the battery module. The comms cable to the comms cable back to the inverter, and the power cable from the battery back to the inverter. If you add on batteries, it's just a daisy chain. So it's very, very simple to install. Just some of the information on the configuration over 3 down to 1 module. So 4 kilowatt hours, 8 kilowatt hours, and 12 kilowatt hours. You'll see the configuration here. It's more of a landscape orientation. The standard cable that comes with the battery module allows for this configuration. But in the event of a site where it doesn't allow that, you may want the batteries built underneath, we can offer you an extra large cable, which is 2 meters long. So you can have the battery modules not side by side. If site doesn't allow that, you can have them underneath or wherever you wish. The React 2 can be DC coupled and retrofitted AC coupled. So in the ideal new installation, the React 2 DC coupled inverter, this is a great solution or great configuration for maximum self-consumption with an energy meter. And the AC coupled solution where there's an existing solar inverter on site, you can have an Uno DM connected DC coupled and the React 2 AC coupled as well. So it's great for DC or AC coupled. The React 2 inverters come with 2 MPPTs. It can be set up as an independent MPPT, or you can parallel them as well, depending on your configuration or your design. These are the energy meters that FIMER can offer. The B21 meter, which is a single phase meter, DIN mounted. It's a through meter, so there's no need for any CTs. It's got up to 65 amps. So if the consumer mains are 63 amps, this is the one for you. The B23 meter is another through meter, so no need for CTs on this one. It's a 3-phase meter, but can be installed on single phase above 65 amps. So if the consumer mains are above that, or up to 65, above 65 amps, this is the one. Also the B24 meter, which is your money for commercial sort of work. You can have CTs connected to it. Any third-party CT with a current secondary of 2, 5 or 6 amps will do. And Modbus connected back to the inverter through RS485. Some of the connectivity through the React 2 Wi-Fi channels, just like the Uno DM, 2 Ethernet ports, so you can daisy chain up to more than 1 React 2, as well as hardwire back to the customer's router to connect back to the Aurora Vision Cloud. The backup functionality, there's a 3 kilowatt backup circuit on the React 2. So the picture on the left, under normal conditions, when there's a grid available, there is no output on the 3 kilowatt maximum backup circuit. Grid shuts off. There is a switching time. It's not a UPS. It doesn't happen instantaneously. It's about a 2-second changeover, and then the backup will arrive at the backup circuit. You can wire either an essential service or a designated circuit within inside the inverter. Have seen contractors mount a couple of contactors in the main switchboard to switch between the grid and this backup circuit as well. The React 2 has 2 load management relays. It's quite powerful, this React 2 with batteries. With a React 2 with at least 1 battery, you can connect up to 8 kilowatts worth of array to this. And it's ideal to switch in load management relays to switch in circuits like EV chargers, pumps, or any sort of load that you wish. So you can opt for maximum self-consumption for switching on these loads and use the array and the battery discharge before exporting any power to the grid. I just had a question pop up on my screen, so I'll just get rid of that. So commissioning the React 2, not only is it extremely easy physically to install, but commission through the built-in web server is also very easy. So again, connect through the QR code. And very similar to the Uno DM and all the other FIMER inverters, you just put in your administrator account and the user account if needed. Connect the inverter to the customer's Wi-Fi network or Ethernet or wireless network. Set the time and date. This is where we set whether or not the React 2 is connected as a DC coupled or an AC coupled installation. Set the grid code. In Australia, it's AS4777, and the input mode, either independent or parallel, just like the Uno DMs. Connecting a meter is just a drop box if you have an energy meter installed, the B21 or the B23. And adding a battery is super simple. So you saw how easy it is to physically connect it. To commission it in the software is also pretty easy. So you can connect through the drop box. You'll see React 2 battery. You just click on that, and battery modules 1, 2, or 3. Super simple. If you have an energy meter connected, you can configure it to the self-consumption, 0 injection if you have a 0 export, custom if you have any export limitation, and there's a backup only, which is, I've never seen it used in Australia. That's just giving the priority to the battery. And when you log in and after commissioning, this is the dashboard for the React 2. So it's very similar to the Uno DM, but the layout is a little bit different. So you have the icon with the batteries, and you can easily connect into this and see the battery charge and discharge. You have the array button again, showing the array, the grid, data from the meter, and the home network. You just click on that, you get a whole overview, which you'll see on the next section. So I'll move into the last little segment here, the monitoring system, Aurora Vision and Energy Viewer. Before I kick off, on Thursday, so this Thursday at 4 p.m, FIMER's holding a webinar on the monitoring system. It's worth jumping on. There's a live demonstration too, so one of our senior technical support team will be running a live demonstration. You get a lot out of it. Last time we held it, I picked up a few things as well, so I hope you can join us for that. So Aurora Vision. So this is our main portal for FIMER inverters. It's free. It's a free system. There's no subscription fees. It's free for the lifetime of the inverter. There's two ways to approach Aurora Vision. The first one is that the installer commissions the inverter, connects it to the customer's router for internet access, and then they can direct the customer, the end user, to register their own inverter and then gain their own access to the Aurora Vision. But Aurora Vision is much more than that. It's a powerful tool for installers. We can create an organisational account for installers where we can create a whole portfolio. The installer can add in all their installs and gain access to every install that they've done quite easily and quickly see the status of those installs. You can also from there do remote monitoring, remote fault diagnosis. There's got some great trendings both on the AC and the DC side. Remote firmware upgrades, instant alerting, so you can get text messages and notifications, report writing as well. You can get a report every 5 minutes if you want, or you can fully customize. So it's a great, powerful tool. There's also a couple of other little tools, which is a plant viewer for mobile and plant viewer. So plant viewer is ideal for commercial situations where the customer's proud of their installation. They want to display some information in their foyer. This is the ideal platform for that, as well as a mobile version of that plant viewer for mobile. But we also have a new monitoring app called Energy Viewer, free to download from any Android or Apple store. It gives you an overall view on both the Uno and the React 2 and other commercial ones. The one I'm showing you here is the React 2 because it shows you the battery solutions and the battery energy flows as well. So the complete system, the one on the left is the React 2 with the batteries. So it has the three icons with the grid, the battery, and the array, obviously. The one in the middle is just for the Uno DMs, so no battery, no storage. Can be used on the commercial range inverters as well. So that just has the array and the grid. And under fault conditions, it's quite obvious you get the red ring. So if you click on the array, you'll see production over the day. You see the profile, and also historically over time. If you click on the grid, you're getting information from the energy meter. You'll see when power's imported or exported, either during the day over the daily profile or over historically over time. And battery charge and discharge over the day and historically as well. And if you click on the home button, you see an overview of everything what's happening. So this is a great tool for end users as well. This has learnt end users to use their loads in certain times to get maximum self-sufficiency, and at the end of the day to reduce that orange bar on the far right, which is importing energy from the grid. And Ramsey and everyone listening, thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to bombard me. That is my presentation. I'll stop sharing now. Any questions there, Ramsey?
Thank you so much, Warren. That was such a lovely presentation. And yeah, key standouts for me for the Uno, DM, and React 2 products is the load manager relay, the com kit. I think it's very easy to use for dynamic and zero export control. 10 years warranty is very cool as well. And the extensive features and functions on the Aurora Vision and Energy Viewer. My question is, what is the difference between Energy Viewer and the Aurora monitoring platform?
It's just another supporting tool. So when you first register the inverter, so you commission the inverter and connect it to the customer's router, you need to go to Aurora Vision first to register the inverter. And all that it really is connecting in the MAC address, which is on the label on the side of the inverter. So the Aurora Vision monitoring portal can communicate with that device. From there, you have a login, a username, and a user password. That can be used across all our platforms. So you're not reinventing the wheel. Which one works for you best. We find Aurora Vision is great for installers, and the Energy Viewer app is great for customers.
Okay, cool. Thanks for clearing that up. We managed to pick up a couple of questions related to your presentation, so maybe I'll just moderate, go through them now.
Sure.
Shalish Kumar is asking how to load the DNSP parameters or Victorian Voltvar settings.
Yeah, so when you go in there, the AS4777 rules say that you can't just log in and get free access. There has to be some sort of tool to get access to it. So there is a second level that you need to go through. So getting that level, you can either ring the technical support line to get a password to get into that level, but you will have full access to it. Or you can register, there's a website that you can register yourself, and anytime you need access to that deeper level, you can create your own password as well. So all it requires is a serial number and some data from the label on the side of the inverter. But we're trying to get that point where when you first turn the inverter on, you might be able to have 2 hours of free access, but the regulations don't allow that.
Cool. And also, the Shalish is also asking, do you have any 20 kilowatt sized hybrids inverters?
No, not at this stage. So as I mentioned before, we're bringing out a new 3-phase range between 10 and 33. So it'll be a 10, 12.5, 15, 20, 30, and a 33 kilowatt inverter in the 3-phase range. But there's no hybrid battery solution. But if you have a commercial product that does need battery solutions, we have other products like the MGS 100 where you can connect batteries and generators to the grid as well. So there's other products out there that FIMER can offer, but as a solution, a hybrid solution, no, not in the 3-phase.
Cool. That's great, seeing a whole range of new commercial scaled inverters coming out soon. So looking forward to that. Shalish Kumar, also one more question, is asking any fault alarm or sound?
You can, through the alarm relay inside all of the inverters, you can configure up an audio alarm or a light, annunciator or a light. So that's quite easy. And the contacts in those relays do allow 230 volt AC to run through it. Otherwise, you can get notifications through Aurora Vision or any of the monitoring tools.
And Timothy Edwards is asking, do they produce DC to DC converters to DC coupled batteries to a 40 kilowatt string inverter?
No, but we do have a component called an MGS 100, where you can connect inverters, batteries, diesel generators, and the grid, and it does it all work for you. So if you have a commercial project, just like I mentioned before, contact myself or FIMER, and we'll be happy to talk to it.
Thanks for that. And the last one is the React 2. Is it can it support third-party inverter such as Fronius Primo 5.0?
Yeah, so the React 2 is an all-in-one solution. It's integrated, it's built to work together. So you can't use the batteries on a third-party inverter. It's built to work together. So FIMER have built the battery modules and the inverter. So there's no conflict that it's not going to work. It's built to work together.
Cool. And you can also AC couple this as well.
Correct. AC and DC couple. Correct.
Okay, cool. That's all the questions on the Q&A forum. Let me quickly check the chat. Yep, so Sudhir Kumar is asking, sorry, wrong, no, yes. So Sudhir Kumar is asking for the ABB Uno model, why the manufacturer does not provide MC4.
On the Unos?
Yes.
So the DC inputs on the Uno DM plus Q is MC4, C4s, WM4s, H4s, M-phenols. Yeah, the inputs on 2 channels connected via multi-contact MC4s. Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying. So they are MC4s there. Yep, I think that covers all of them, Warren. Thank you so much for the presentation and answering those questions.
Thank you very much. I'll hang around for the other guys.
Cool. And just a reminder to all that this is recorded. So if you'd like to go back and study or listen again, that will be available on the One Stop Warehouse YouTube channel. So just for your information there.
Thanks,
okay,
everyone.
Thank you, Warren. Now I think we should move on to Solis and we'll have Zygmunt share the screen.
Hi, Ramsey. Thank you. Just to let you know that I will be doing the talking, and the technical, I guess, expertise will be in the background with Chidu. So please feel free to ask any technical questions, even though I'm not the technical guy. But we can go through it. So here we go.
Thank you, Zygmunt.
Here we go. A little bit of a company profile. I think this is kind of a standard fare for everyone. A little bit of the history. Solis has been manufacturing inverters for 15 years, has only ever manufactured inverters, and continues to manufacture inverters, as you can see. I'm gonna have to reduce myself here to get myself out of here. Okay, and some of the key points. They have started the office here in 2010, long before many of the other companies here. Probably the second Chinese company to have an inverter even listed by the CEC for the AS4777. 2019, the company went public. So it is a publicly traded company worth over a little bit over $1 billion right at the moment. And here in 2020, we'll have the 15-year anniversary. COVID allowing, of course, right? So I hope everyone's staying healthy. As you can see, about 1,000 employees, 200 technicians or engineers is what they like to call it. It's a little over 15 gigawatts supplied throughout the world, and just a little over 200 million in assets running the company. The company has been growing strongly, 76% growth over the last 2 years. Basically, the manufacturing capacity is growing from 5 gigawatts to 20 gigawatts. So if anybody has any orders, of course, I think we'll be able to supply it. It's been endorsed by the top 3 financial institutions around the world. And as you can see, Bank of America, Bloomberg, and so on and so forth. So obviously, it's a fit company, well managed, well financed. Like I said, the sales are going up, profits are going up, sales are continuing to grow throughout the world, which really reflects the products itself and the reliability of it. Again, the reliability here, first manufacturer to pass the PVEL, which used to be DNVGL. Don't say that too fast, you'll get confused. And one of the only companies in China to receive awards for the 4 consecutive years for the products manufactured. This last year from TÜV Rheinland for the new 20 kilowatt inverters, also about to be available here in Australia. The company uses best-in-class partners, meaning best-in-class partners for manufacturing. So you can see here top-end products used within the product itself to ensure that the quality is in there before quality goes in, before the name goes on, to use an old statement. Totally virtually integrated from surface-mounted technology through to the final duration testing. Each of the inverters goes through about a 4-hour burn-in test before it's packed in the box and sent at least down under here. They've all been tested for many years. I can't really say that because then that means we're guaranteeing that. So I won't say it. I'll just show it on the screen. But as you can see, it's designed to last a lifetime. To get to the products now, after everyone moaned and groaned after the company information there, sorry about that. We have a full range of small 3-phase and single-phase and 3-phase grid-tied inverters. Starting with the single phase going from 700 kilowatts all the way up to 8 kilowatt units, and then from 5 kilowatt 3-phase all the way through 20 kilowatt 3-phase in the current range of 4G products. Some of the key features that each of these has, one is not just here the built-in export power control function that you can program in each and every of the inverters. But one of the key things it does, each and every one comes with a Wi-Fi stick for easy communication with the units themselves. It has the built-in power control function that's easily programmed to whatever demands you might have throughout the country here. And as we talk and as we change, who knows what those new changes are in South Australia or Queensland or God knows where we're at. 24-hour consumption monitoring is also a key feature within the inverters, so that obviously the homeowner can see exactly what his house is doing and be able to review and better use his PV system, or PV system and battery system, of course. It has the advanced working modes already built in: volt var, volt watt, and of course frequency shifting, depending upon, again, the area you're in, the neighborhood you're connecting to. All of these features are becoming more and more relevant as we speak. And last but not least, the remote upgrade capability. So with that Wi-Fi stick, you'll be able to do easily maintenance, update standards, all the things that hopefully will relieve and help you be able to help your customer. All the units come already pre-programmed with AS4777 in it, so it's almost plug and play, but of course, depending upon the part of the country you're in, will of course make a difference to some of the settings that you have. Now, of course, there we go. I'll just do a quick review over the small inverter range. I know we're getting a bit tight on time here, going towards 5 o'clock. Sorry about that. The range ranges from 700 watts. So if you need to do 1 or 2, I guess, modules on a rooftop, we've got an inverter for you, all the way to 3.5 kilowatts. These are single MPPT units, very small, lightweight, 7 kilos max, 97% efficiency, obviously. High frequency switching at 30 kilohertz in order to improve efficiency. And of course, all come with the export power management. The next dual phase inverters start at 2.5 kilowatts, go up to 6 kilowatts. Again, very lightweight, 14 kilos, 98% efficiency, very wide range, low startup, and of course, shutdown voltage. Of course, this has the DNV-GL comprehensive evaluation to it, and this 5 kilowatt unit is probably very close to being one of the most popular units in the entire country at the moment. There's several thousand, 100,000 of these connected already with very, very low return rates, easy programmable, easily settable. The 3-phase 3 to 20 kilowatts, actually here we only offer the 5 to 20 kilowatts. This is still in the 4G range. As you see, we've got a couple of improvements coming on the 5G range. That has nothing to do with COVID, sorry. But the 5G range will have a couple of additional improvements to this, but also multiple protection levels, wide range, voltage range of startup and shutdown, 2 MPPTs, numerous inputs for DC connections. As you can see here, the 5 and 6 kilowatt, the smaller units have the 2 DC inputs, where the bigger units have 4 DC inputs. Please let me know if I talk too fast. I can do that too. We have the Solis, the start of the new 5G range, or the 5th generation of this unit. So starting back in 2005, they're up to the 5th generation version here. These units are, a lot of these features will be coming through all of the other models that are being updated as we speak. But it is a good choice for small residential systems. 13.3 kilo, a little bit lighter weight, higher energy density, dual MPPT, and 3 DC inputs. With a higher DC input at 12.5 amps, you can see that it does support the newer bifacial solar modules. It'd be a good question to ask how many people are using bifacial solar modules these days. I know there was a lot of big excitement of these coming in, but not sure if it's really grabbing market share in that smaller residential segments rather than on the field. But it can help increase yields up to 30%. So maybe you have to paint the roof tiles white to really get full control out of these. As you can see, it brings more yield during lower irradiance. So you have the DC to AC ratio of 1.3 versus the others at 1.2. You can do the remote control capabilities here. Again, the firmware upgrades, safety standards, the basic maintenance reviews, and be able to basically do review your customer's system remotely. Does also leakage current suppression technology. As you know, there's always a problem with electronics in general. It's affected by weather, humidity, insulation. The inverters have to shut down if the leakage current is too high. This uses a special algorithm to reduce up to 50 to 60% of leakage current faults. Again, volt, watt, and volt var capabilities. As you can see here, there's a nice improvement in the volt watt enabling. And of course, not of course for the normal installers, but the apprentices, in case they reverse the connections, the inverter will tell them that's a no-no, and that they have to correct the connections to make the system work properly. So coming up very quickly here in the new commercial range of inverters from actually also 20 kilowatts up to 50 kilowatts, the 80 to 100, and of course the 125 kilowatt units. Very quickly here in Australia, we have both the 380 volt and 400 volt units available. Obviously the small range there, the 25 to 40, come with either 3 or 4 MPP trackers. The mid-range 50 to 60 have 4 MPP trackers, and of course the bigger range up to 10 MPPT trackers. The 480 volt, very similar to the same, but those are also becoming available here in the country as we speak. Some of the key features: multiple MPP design, higher DC ratio, 110% AC overload capability. Bifacial module supported again for those bigger systems, maybe even small ground mounts. Anti-PID integration solution. It is a fuseless design and supports DCY connectors, actually. So these are a couple of big advancements. Smart O&M, of course, has that next gen. These questions pop up right in the middle of my slides there, Ramsey. Thank you very much. Just kidding. So it has that next gen cloud capability for monitoring and operations and maintenance. The multiple MPPT design, as you can see here, I don't know if I need to go into high details on this, but you can see the more MPP trackers you have, obviously the better results you can get out of the modules that you have on that ground mount or small field mount systems. Higher DC-AC ratio means you can get obviously more energy produced out of your strings. As you can see here, the AC overload capability allows you to get more energy out of the system that you have for the modules that are supplied. Wider MPPT range obviously starts lower in the morning, shuts off later in the afternoon, which is wonderful. So you can get, obviously, again, more energy yield during the day. Bifacial module supported. Again, it'd be good to know how popular these are becoming here. I know Many of the factories are shipping more and more of these, specifically for these bigger commercial or ground mount programs. Units have excellent heat dissipation, 50-degree DC ratings, so it is natural convection on the smaller ones, but redundant fan cooling on the bigger ones, simply because they're putting more energy through the bigger ones. So it is making sure that the product works and works solely even for conditions down under, of course, right? Has nighttime PID recovering automatic hardware solution when the PC DC bus voltage is lower than 50 DC. PID module creates between the PV and the ground. Fuseless design, obviously lower maintenance, less worry for the product itself. It also has built-in type 2 lightning surge protection, which is something you don't get in a lot of other inverters without having to order them extra. It is, like I said, DCY connector supported, so you can save some DC wiring. It's for the units that are above 80 kilowatts. A little bit about the hybrid storage inverters. Currently available right now is the RHI 3, 4, and 5 kilowatt inverters. Has a maximum discharge of 3 kilowatts. The upgraded version coming fairly soon after this will have a discharge power of 5 kilowatts, 2 MPPTs, 130% AC/DC overloading capability. As you can see, the battery options, it has the BMS already in it for LG Chem, BYD, Pylon Tech, and building many more as we speak at the moment. I know they're busy in the factory doing that. That might be a good question to ask Gito once we can get him on the line. You can see the easy connections at the bottom of the unit, quite straightforward and simple. There is an AC coupled unit about to become available, again for those requirements for an AC coupled system. 3 kilowatt unit. A little look into the future, coming also very soon. I think someone asked before about bigger hybrid. We've got the 3-phase units coming from 5 kilowatts to 10 kilowatts. Both 400 and 380 volt 3-phase, being able to do both PV, hybrid, DC coupled backup. As you can see, the hybrid inverter can become the center of the system. We'll be able to connect to several different kind of battery operations, and we'll also be able to use to connect to lead acid gel cell type batteries too. There's a picture of it. 98% efficiency, obviously a wide battery voltage range, 13 amp DC inputs, 2 ultra high efficient MPPT trackers, a very low 160 volt startup voltage, and total harmonic distortion of lower than 2%. In general, I think I covered a lot of information there quickly. I'm sorry if it went too fast, but in general, Solis, a solid company, very bankable, has been around for 15 years. We have a local service team, local service tech support, local warranty supports. We've been here long-term, are very local, and have the latest in inverter technology because that is all that Solis does. Call us on the phone number you see there on the screen. Ask any question you like regarding, of course, inverters. Not sure if we can answer any question you may have, but we'll give it a go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zygmunt.
Thank you.
Thank you for the awesome overview of your great range of products in the residential and C&I space. We didn't pick up any questions, I believe, so I think we'll shoot straight to Rene and on his presentation with Greenbox. So take it away,
Thanks,
Rene.
everyone. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you once again. My name is Rene. I'm the technical advisor within Greenbox. I got to know the guys in around about 2017 and started to work closely with them. I'm an installer myself. Started in 2008, so I can relate to most of your electricians there. So I'm going to make it a little bit, a little bit sales in the beginning, but then later on we're going to go a bit technical. So hopefully I can wake everybody up after, all these discussions about inverters and stuff. So we're going a little bit technical. So hopefully you will enjoy it. So I'm just going to go straight into the slideshow. Okay. All right. So Greenbox, we're presenting grid protection solutions and commercial solar engineering. But today we're going to cover the whole grid protection relays. We're going to talk about the 100 amp and the 200 amp units. So Greenbox, okay. So Greenbox was founded in 2016. At the time, it was the main goal to start, developing microgrid control systems, switchboards, and control units. But yeah, in 2017, when the whole grid protection relays came in, it focused on that as well, and that's where I stepped in with the guys, and we started to design the grid protections. So it's a network protection, anti-islanding unit, or secondary protection unit. Basically, it's a requirement under AS 4777.3.4.4.3. It always sounds more interesting when you start to put the dots behind it, but it's only required for units that are over 30 kilowatts. So anything that is then required, when the grid is out of phase, and there's 5 things, of course: your under voltage, your over voltage, your under frequency, over frequency, and your rate of frequency change. If any of those items fall outside of the DSPN network settings, it will then shut down either one or all your inverters at the same time. So that's what a grid network device, protection device, is required to do. Now, I'm going to have a look at it into, you guys installing it. If you're going to be installing around about your 5 kilowatt, you don't need it. You can just do it as per normal. Anything between your 15 to 30 kilowatts, of course, you got to do your phase balancing, but again, it is not required. Then we're looking at the next step, the 30 kilowatts and over till about 100 kilowatts. That's where you are required to install the network protection device. Now, I saw it just before as well, you get a lot of the questions, and I just briefly saw it as well in the chat popping up. So people saying, okay, I've got a 29.9 kilowatt inverter and I'm going to shut, 35 kilowatts of solar panels on it. Do I then still require grid network protection? No, you don't, because you're still under the 30 kilowatts. As soon as you put a 32 kilowatt inverter on, then you are required to install one. So you see in the market, of course, the gap now where everything under 30 kilowatts, that's, gets installed without the grid protection. And then all of a sudden you see a bit of a gap all the way sort of towards the 60 kilowatts, where people all of a sudden start installing the systems again. It's just purely the economics by adding the extra layer of cost, which it might, is the grid network protection, your application fee, you might need injection tests and all that sort of stuff, which add that extra layer of cost, whereby it's not financially beneficial to start under that 60 kilowatts. So with our grid protection boards, the 100 kilowatts and then the 200 kilowatts, to 200 watt amps, the hundreds, up to sort of 70 kilowatts, and then thereafter you start using the 200 amp board. So the other question I saw as well in the chat was the opposite. Are we required? Let's say I put a 60 kilowatt system on, but hey, I'm just putting an export limit on it. Then solves that problem. No, it doesn't solve your problem. As soon as you get over that 30, unfortunately you have to install the grid network protection device. That's the only way around it. So I hope that clears that up a little bit more. Now if we then start looking at the board, I've got it here, a bit of a picture. That's the unit itself. Like I mentioned, we've got the 100 and the 200 amp switchboard. This is the main, it says main isolator. It's actually wrong. It's a main circuit breaker at the same time. Of course, it's an isolator for us electricians, as we need to label it, but it actually comes with a circuit breaker built in. Now, that has some benefits in case you're putting your switchboard or your grid protection device right next to the main switchboard. And that way, you can just tap your cable straight into the board. You don't need to install another circuit breaker, so you save yourself a couple of $100, especially in the larger sizes. Next, we got standard built-in. You've got your surge protection built-in that comes standard within the boards. The boards are largely enough, to get all your heat dissipation done, and your room for your cables. We'll have a look in a minute into more of the detail so that I can satisfy all your electricians out there. And another key feature is it comes with a standard 10 amp circuit breaker in there, which you can put any of your monitoring devices. So if you got your Feronia smart monitoring or your whatnot for your solar edge unit, you got that built in. So you can just tap off from that straight into the board. But again, I'll show you that in a minute. So I can swap over to some actual installations, what we've done, and then we get a better understanding of what is happening. So just have to swap it over. Got a bit of an issue to get the other one on. Yeah, we'll get there. There we go. All right, here we've got a nice installation that was done down in Victoria, down in Traralgon. So everybody in Traralgon can have a look at this one. This is done on a petrol station. As we can see, we've got some 3 Feronias in Eco 27s, which are mounted side by side right next to our Greenbox grid protection device. And then on the far end, we've got the main switchboard. Now, I don't have the photos of this board, but unfortunately this board was from a new installation, and don't ask me why, but it was completely filled from the moment that we got there. Luckily, the fishing fingers under the chassis rail was empty, so we could tap straight away into there and wire it straight into our board, which again, that was the bonus because we had the main circuit breaker, the circuit breaker built into this board, which we can tap straight away into it. I'll just have to move myself. So let's have a look a little bit close up. So now we've got a front view of the board, and I'll quickly sort of run through with you so that when you get one of these boards, what you're actually looking at. So of course we've got, your main switch on your left-hand top there, the circuit breaker there. On the bottom, we have here your distribution board. So if you let the guys know, or you give us the details of what inverters you are actually going to install, we'll make sure that on arrival, you have your circuit breakers already built in and with the right size so that you can tap in your solar systems straight into this board. So that will make it a lot easier, because the hardest part is always, you know, getting your cables into a board, you know, an existing board. If you've got a new board, you know it's always going to work. It's easy. Then we're going to have a look here on the right-hand side. And this is all the control systems. This is where the controlling of the board happens. And we're trying to make this as simple as possible. And we're going to have a quick look here. I'm trying to zoom in for you. All right. So we've got a mains control switch, which if you switch that off, that isolates the whole control part of the board. We've got your voltage references so that we can actually check the voltage levels. And underneath, we're using the ComApp Mains Pro unit. Again, depending on which DSPN you're in, you require different settings and all, you know, and you might even get specialized settings. Again, let us know what you require. The unit will be pre-programmed and arrive on site for you to become a fully plug and play unit. So all you have to do is put your cables in and you're done. Right underneath, this was the key feature I spoke about, your circuit breaker for your energy monitoring. In this case, we use the Fronius energy monitoring units that comes with it. And underneath here, your main circuit breaker for your surge protection, which comes standard within the board. The board is fully IP65 rated, and it comes with, you know, lockable key at the front. So the keys in this case are in the door here. So it comes with fully lockable IP65. The bottom plate is completely aluminium, so it's easy for you to drill through and bring your cables in. Also good for heat dissipation. So here we have, now hopefully we're now getting into the nitty gritty, and I get now all the electricians a bit excited in the room. So as you can see, we've allowed room in your board, and it's a neat board as well. That is one of the key features. You know, we want to create something that is neat. You know, when you start your job, you feel like you're adding to something neat. It's not that you open a board and it's a bunch of wires and you don't know what, you know, what is going on there. For us electricians, of course, it's easy. We got the main switch here, or your main isolator. You connect straight away to the top. You've got your nice cable rack here, so you can actually cable ties nicely your cables into this board and make it fit perfectly. Your neutral and your earth bar right down here at the bottom. And as I mentioned here, your distribution board for your inverters to hook up. You can hook up to a maximum of 6 inverters. And don't worry, if you're using the larger inverter, so we need to put an 80 or 100 amp breaker in there, we just change over the chassis rail so that the bigger breakers fit in there. So if you do use the larger inverters, we can accommodate for that as well. You can see as well your energy monitoring, another little picture, because that's probably always a bit of a hard one, because you need the neutral terminal. We neatly chuck that on the side here. So you've got your neutral terminal where you can wire that straight into, so you've got your neutral references as well. So that will give you a little bit of an overview of the board inside. So I hope this is, you know, get you guys a bit more excited about how neat that is. And then we'll go, so got these ones, and we'll go back to our little slideshow. Was it? All right. So we're back at the slideshow. If you've got any more questions, we'll do them later. Now, another feature what we have, of course, in the board is this little pocket here. I know you electricians always very excited about your documentation, but there is your spot. Okay, so you can put your documentation nicely hidden in there as well. So we'll just run through some basic questions, and I've done a few of them already, of course. So I've installed 35 kilowatts of solar panels with a 29 kilowatt inverter. Do I need to install grid protection unit? No. The DSPN doesn't ask for grid protection. Do I need to install grid protection? Again, yes, as soon as you get over the 30 kilowatt, you have to install. It's a compulsory thing according to AS 4777, no matter what the DSPN tells you. Next one, I'll touch base on that one as well. So if I limit my export down to 30 kilowatts or below to the grid, do I still need grid protection? And the answer is yes. All right. And the final one, can I use a grid protection unit to export limit? And the simple answer is no. That is something that needs to be done through the solar inverters. Grid protection board cannot help you there. It only monitors the voltages and the frequency of the network, and it makes sure that that's within range. If it's not, then it drops your solar inverters out. So I don't know if there is some other questions in the meantime that we want to run through in the meantime, or is it all good?
Picked up some, Rene.
Okay. All right. Then we'll go to the next little bit of a case study here. Ideally, in the ideal world, you know, we'd like to install a main grid protection board always near the main switch. I'll give you a little heads up. Some DSPNs actually require you to do it. Not all of them, but some do. So be careful. Make sure you get your right information. So if in case, you know, it's not required, okay, that is easy. You can then, you know, put your board further away or where it's, you know, more convenient for you to put your grid protection device. But in this case, we actually done a case study here where actually it was installed on some outbuildings. So the problem was, of course, we need to do a grid protection on all of these units, but some of them are, as you can see, on a different building. Now, rather than digging up the whole trench and digging a new underground, we have the solution to actually tap into the existing switchboard on, let's say, a distribution board further downstream. What we are then using is using some radio and some contactors that are linked together. And in case the grid protection tells the inverters to drop out, that's a standard radio signal, and it then activates the contactor remotely to shut down the solar inverter. So in that way, you know, you can save yourself a lot of digging or running a cable, which, as you know, adds a lot of cost. In this way, it's a cheaper way around it and helps you out in that way. One other thing as well, we briefly spoke about the injection test. Not every DSPN requires it, but again, some do. And if they do, this is also an area where we can help you out with to you know, do that complete test. It's not a simple test. It takes the guys about 4 hours and to run through and actually prove that the grid protection device shuts down as per statement of the DSPN. And then you get an official report, which you then have to hand in to your DSPN. So yeah, this wraps it up. So pretty much for me. I hope it was informative for you. And yeah, if there is any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Rene. That was quite a nice presentation right there. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We picked up a couple of questions, if you don't mind answering them.
Yes, go for it.
So Stanislaw, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, is asking, how is disconnection and connection made in case of fault?
Oh, okay. So I assume that he means, okay, let's say there is a fault, or let's say there's an over voltage. Let's go in that case. The grid protection device will then shut the solar inverters down through the relay. I might just quickly grab that photo, maybe, then we can have a quick look at that. So it's a bit more clearer for the guys. So over here, I forgot to mention that actually, but here's your relay. Now, in case it shuts down your mains pro will shut down, detects that, and will activate, disengage the relay, and the relay will just drop off and shuts down that way all the solar inverters. The voltage sensing is all happening before the relay, and so after a while, let's say the grid comes back, it goes back into the normal mode, and it comes back into the parameters where the relay is allowed to come back in. Mains pro detects that and says, okay, it's safe again, and please energize again, and puts the power back on the onto your solar inverters, and in that way, then your solar inverters start doing your normal 60 seconds and re-engages with everything.
Thank you, Rene. Paul Coates is asking, can you manufacture for Evo Energy ACT and offer injection testing?
Yes, well, of course, like I said, we offer the injection testing, so that is definitely we can do that. Yes, we can. Technicians around Australia can come to site. We'll book them in, and then they can test it. As you can see as well in the board, we've got on the right hand side of your mains pro, we got all our testing connection points already for their equipment, just with the banana plugs to tap them straight into there, and they can do all their testing without actually undoing any of your wiring. So you don't have to worry about that they won't reconnect it properly, because you've got your proper testing points.
Right. And Shalish Kumar is asking, is there any fuse box you guys make?
Fuse box for a normal fuse box? No, the answer is no. We're specialized on this. I can tell you that, so at the moment, we only got the 100 and the 200 boards. We've got in production and we're testing them at the moment. We're going up to 400, and the drawings are already ready for even 800 amps. So for the guys that really want to knock themselves out, we're going to be ready for you.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll take one more question. So Mark Price is asking, on your example project, it looks like the furnace meter will be disconnected if the mains pro isolates the solar PV. Is that correct?
In this case, it would be yes, correct.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Rene, for that presentation and answering those questions. I'm sure they'll have more questions in the future. So once again, guys, this is recorded and it will be uploaded online. So feel free to reach out to One Stop at tech@onestopwarehouse.com.au, or contact us. And if we can't answer, then we'll forward you to Rene, Zygmunt, and Warren respectively. So as you see, they're all customer focused and consumer based, and they care about the customer experience and product performance. So yeah, you can be sure that these products will be performing to your standards. And if you have any technical support questions, anything, they're always happy to help. So keep this in mind. Any last words, guys, before we sign off?
Yeah, Warren from FIMER here. Thanks for having us, One Stop. Thanks for signing in today and viewing the webinars, not only with Solis and Greenbox, but FIMER as well. We are very approachable. We're here to support you. So feel free to contact your FIMER representative. You can contact myself or the technical support team. And don't forget about the spring to summer promotion, which is coming up, and One Stop Warehouse is supporting. There's some awesome prizes to be had.
Thank you so much, Warren. It was a pleasure to have you as well as Zygmunt and Rene. Thank you guys so much. Just double check. Okay. Yep, we have no more pending questions. Just a quick message for everybody else. Your CBD points will be processed after this and will be probably awarded within a few business days. So just for your information on that. And this is unfortunately the last week of the webinar series at One Stop Warehouse, but I'm happy to announce that we have 2 more webinars in the works. And this includes Qcells and Enphase. So if you're interested in these guys, we'll be having a webinar on them in the near future. Okay, Thank you so much, guys. I think we'll sign off now and have a lovely afternoon all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Zygmunt.